This could hurt. God! Jesus Christ!
You are kidding me.
Fuck me sideways. It's ridiculous.
2 minutes in the game and you're already doing epic torpedo dodge.
Good day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, coming to you guys with some more World of Warships content. So guys, recently I decided that I was going to start pushing my way down the British cruiser line, mainly thanks to videos from people such as Eurobeats who are abusing the ever-loving shit out of the Minotaur, but beyond that, the design and the playstyle of the British cruisers has always been something that has interested me, so I figured it was just about time that I started grinding down a new line of ship. I'll be honest, I didn't really start enjoying the British cruisers up until Tier 6, the Leander. The previous ships just simply didn't have access to the smoke generator, and even though at Tier 5 you got access to a smoke generator, the Emerald just didn't feature enough firepower to make that smoke generator worth your while. And yes, while I enjoyed the Leander, I then found myself in the Fiji. And sweet mother of all things that are holy, this thing is an absolute beast. I'm quite honestly willing to mark this ship as the best non-premium Tier 7 cruiser in the game at this point, at least to my mind, because I absolutely adore this thing and have been adoring it ever since I unlocked it. What I will say is that this is most certainly a line of ship that requires a little bit of investment before you can really start enjoying them, so for those who are venturing down this path, please do be patient. Good things do come to those who wait and work hard, or just have a lot of free XP sitting in their back pocket. Anyway, let's talk about the Fiji herself. What does she bring to the table? Firepower wise, she brings forth an impressive set of 152mm guns that are allocated in 4 turrets with 3 guns on each, with a reload time of 7.5 seconds. In theory, this means that the Fiji is capable of landing 96 armor-piercing rounds per minute on a target if you just hold down the trigger. And no, despite the ship having an excellent rate of fire, her accuracy isn't going to be of huge concern here, as she features a tiny maximum dispersion of only 129 meters. She's not as accurate as the Atlanta, but she comes second place when it comes to the accuracy in the Tier 7 cruiser range, and features more powerful guns, making her the most accurate cruiser at Tier 7 for the 152mm gun ratio. Her range is also commendable, capable of shooting out to a range of 13.7 kilometers, and can be upgraded to a total distance of 15.4 kilometers with the upgrade to the fire and control module. Something that you will see at such ranges, however, is the shell velocity drop like no tomorrow, making long-range targets a total bitch to hit if they're moving fast. This encourages you to close the gap slightly, and we'll talk about how you can do that in this ship in just a second. And hey, just because the main armament of this ship wasn't enough, she also features a rack of 3 torpedoes on each side of the ship that have a range of 8 kilometers. They aren't something that should be relied upon, but they are also great for getting out of a pinch, and you can also force ships to give you a slightly more agreeable broadside to shoot into, because, you know, with your AP-only guns and all. The anti-aircraft armament on the Fiji is also less than ideal. In fact, I would even class it below average in effectiveness. So if you're in a battleship or destroyer and trying to find some safety from enemy aircraft attacks, don't even bother going to a Fiji, because they're not going to be able to do a whole lot. No, instead, the Fiji is a ship that shines in the concealment and maneuverability department, and is a common characteristic of all British cruisers in the game. And, well, the fact that she is a cruiser with a smokescreen generator is also a bit of a help when it comes to the whole concealment thing. The Fiji features a stock standing concealment of 11.52 kilometers by sea and 7.62 kilometers by air, which when in play with the default range of 13.7 kilometers of the main battery, gives you about 2 kilometers worth of breathing room between when you can start shooting at targets and when you'll be hard detected. But you and I both know that that can be improved big time through some upgrades and captain skills, which we'll get into a little bit later in the video. But hey, say you're hard detected but you've got some cover nearby that you can escape to. Thankfully, this ship's tight turning circle of 590 meters and her solid rudder shift time of 12.1 seconds makes her nimble enough to squeeze up against islands to say good day to the local villagers and dodge those sneaky torpedoes. As the intro showed you, torpedo beats are too fun in this ship. She also makes makes a quick 32.5 knots in a straight line and has a blitzing acceleration that will see you flat out like a lizard drinking in no time. What she has in agility, she does lose in armor sadly, sporting a large and relatively unprotected citadel that sees her as a truly juicy target when brawling and broadsiding against, well, anything really that's bigger than a destroyer. What does this package cost, I hear you all asking? Well, she runs for 70,000 XP and 5.5 million credits to unlock stock, and 113,000 XP and 9 million credits to unlock and get fully upgraded. With that said, 1 million of that cost could be saved, as the enhanced torpedo module on this ship isn't entirely worth it, as it doesn't increase range or speed, it just bumps up the damage ever so slightly. So that's the Fiji from a numbers and stats perspective, but how does she play? That's the real question we want answered. Well, she's technically a glass cannon, but not in the sense of damage per salvo, more or less in the sense of damage per minute, but only when played correctly. Some will say that it is possible for a British cruiser to stay off the map for the entirety of a game, and to that I agree, but that doesn't mean that you should be sitting at max range sniping away at targets. No, British cruisers, more specifically the Fiji in this case, perform at their best when played boldly, getting as close as to the enemy as their detection allows, smoking up, and proceeding to shell targets under the cover of smoke. The smoking up part of that entire strategy being the key to this ship's success. Seriously, you're going to be seeing more smoke here than a pack-a-day smoker. Getting into straight up gunfights will see you quickly decimated due to her lacking armor, with the only exception once again being destroyers. While the Fiji isn't a brawler, she can get into the face of enemies via her concealment stats, which can be once again improved through some smart allocations of captain skills, and then can quickly decimate an enemy fleet by sitting in the cover of smoke at close range and really being just a pain in the ass. By closing the gap as much as you can, you give your guns the best possible chance to penetrate targets. While yes, at range you can get some nice plunging fire on larger ships, flatter arcs at closer range means a higher reliability for penetrating your said targets. The guns here are locked to being loaded with AP and aren't the greatest when it comes to raw penetrating power per shell due to the fact that they are only 152mm. Sure, they can cause some major damage to any cruiser and even some battleships that are broadsiding you, but instead of dealing massive blows of damage per salvo that you might be used to when it comes to, say, battleships or even cruisers with 203mm shells, you'll be scoring a lot of average salvos worth of damage quickly. So with that, take note of where your shells are landing on a target and how you can improve your damage output by shifting your aim slightly. If you see your shells bouncing off a target's angled armor, look for harsh angles in the superstructure to penetrate. Use the rate of fire as a trial by fire method to figure out what your best possible point on a ship is to target. Once you find the sweet spot, use the devastating rate of fire to melt away at a target and really make them regret for not picking a ship with radar functionality. Now, as we were saying before, the Fiji has fantastic speed and turning ability, but there is one area she fails at when it comes to her maneuverability: braking. She is terrible at arresting the momentum that she has built up, which means that smoking up and attempting to stop from full speed to stay in your smoke is never going to work, unless the end goal is to overshoot your smoke and just sit there in front of the enemy broadsided with your pants down. I mean, hey, if you want to get out of a game quickly and leave your allies with a small parting gift, then be my guest. But other than that, let's not go doing that. Be sure that you're slowing down before blowing smoke so that you have enough time to stop and remain concealed in your smoke. Now, while the fast acceleration of the ship can be a blessing in the need of a quick escape, it can also be a curse when you are in the smoke and need to make small turns to better angle your guns for a target or to dodge incoming torps. If you need to adjust your position in smoke, stay on top of your speed and don't let it creep you out of the smoke. Never go above quarter speed, and even then I would suggest alternating between full stop and quarter speed to really keep your speed in check. There have been far too many cases in this ship where I've decided I need to quickly adjust my ship's position to get all guns onto target. I speed up slightly, I forget how fast I'm going, and then it's too late, I'm outside of smoke, I can't brake in time, and alas I get sent straight down to Davy Jones's locker. However, remaining on the topic of her agility, her quick turning circle, acceleration and speed gives her outstanding destroyer hunter capabilities, as dodging torps is a breeze here in this ship. You can quite easily dodge torps even if you are stationary in some some cases. So charging enemy destroyers and dodging panic torps will see you quickly clearing the way for allies, relieving a lot of stress for friendly battleships. If an enemy destroyer has placed down smoke, charging that's a good idea because that will still help keep your detection down to a minimum, but only go charging towards PDDs if you have enough cover from the rest of your allied fleet, that being from allied cruisers and battleships, or, you know, you've killed all of the enemy fleet and the destroyer is the last one left. In that case, go nuts. While sitting in smoke, I would most certainly recommend making use of your hydroacoustic search ability for that added torpedo detection. Yes, the Fiji's agility makes it easy for her to dodge torpedoes even when in a stationary position, but it's going to be kind of difficult to dodge torpedoes if they appear only about 500 meters from you. Yeah, there's not a whole lot you can do there. So having hydroacoustic search live will ensure that you don't get blindsided and that you can make use of the ship's agility to its full potential. Once your smoke dissipates, having an escape plan is also critical in this ship. After sitting in smoke for a solid 1:30 seconds, your enemies are going to be pretty pissed off at you for shelling them in stealth. They are going to want your corpse, so having a way out when your smoke disappears is just a great way to ensure that you survive a little bit longer than your first blast of smoke. It's also incredibly handy to have stopped shooting before your smoke disappears so that you emerge out of smoke in a stealth position. So keep an eye on that smoke timer. Around the 10-second mark is around a good time to call it quits for the shooting for the time being. Mounting premium smoke, hydroacoustic, damage control and repair parties are also going to be a necessity here. Sorry if you're strapped for cash, but this is a ship that heavily is dependent on her skills, so ensuring that you have them at the ready as much as possible, with as many as possible per battle, I cannot recommend it enough. Seriously, this is not a ship for a poor captain. Save up some cash if you have to, but mounting those premium consumables is a must. But anyway, we now know what the Fiji is like statistically, we know how she performs and what her playstyle is. How about we go about improving her via some captain skills and upgrades? As far as the upgrades are concerned, I took Main Armaments Mod 1, Damage Control System Mod 1, Aiming Systems Mod 1, and Steer Gears Mod 2, all with the intention of protecting the ship's main battery, making it more accurate, and enhancing her maneuverability to further destroy those pesky destroyers. With the added maneuverability, she also becomes fantastic at dodging enemy shells if you're a skilled enough captain. So yeah, there's that as well. As far as captain skills go, I went with priority target, as knowing when there is somebody aiming at you will give you a better indication as to when it's best to retreat or smoke up. When it comes to skill number 2, I was honestly torn between jack of all trades and smokescreen expert. Smokescreen expert gives you 20% more wiggle room in your smoke for making adjustments that suit your main battery, especially when we consider the acceleration to braking ratio that we mentioned earlier. But big but here too, considering how dependent this ship is on her skills to be effective, jack of all trades is just too good to pass up. I do recommend going back and picking up the smokescreen expert, however, later on down the line. Next up, take superintendent to ensure that you don't run out of smoke mid-battle, and next up, take concealment expert. On this ship, it brings your detection all the way down to a whopping 9.8 kilometers, which is just disgusting when abused correctly. Seriously, I was talking about getting as close as you possibly can to enemy ships beforehand. Well, this is your one-way ticket to do so, and do so in style. And folks, with all that said, that kind of concludes today's review / discussion on the Fiji. Guys, this is the sort of first video I've done of this style on a non-premium ship in World of Warships. All of my previous thoughts and reviews videos have been done in the form of live or post commentaries, so let me know what you think of this video format, guys. Where do you think it could be improved? How do you think the format could change? Let me know in the comment section down below, guys. I want to hear what you guys think of this review style. Also, let me know what you think of the Fiji itself. If you've got any tips or tricks, pump them down in the comment section down below, guys, and I'll be sure to pin any comments or favorite any comments that I find to be great tips for the Fiji as well that I may have forgotten about in this video. If you enjoyed today's video, guys, a backhanding of that like button would be greatly appreciated. And if you find yourself backhanding that like button and you're new to the channel, feel free to backhand that subscribe button whilst you're at it to keep up to date with the content which I'm releasing here. Once again, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I'll be seeing you guys all next time. Have a good day.